development. So, of course, the question was answered for me.
I love that. Cheating never pays off, kids. That's the lesson there. And yeah, we'll get Magnus's thoughts. This was the Hikaru game, just while we jumped to it. There's just for that moment. But let's go back to Magnus. And okay, big moment. Gukesh pushes a kingside pawn forward.
Will we see h4?
Oh, I hope
David,
so.
will he go for it?
Actually, the bishop on f4 is a little bit in trouble, right?
Yes.
Because in the air, it's in the air. I'm not going to say now. I'm not going to be that bold. But there is some ideas of David's highlighted for it. He can read my mind. G5 and then trap that bishop in the middle of the board.
Will we see h4 or not? Yes or no?
Oh, Magnus loves pushing his h-pawn, right? No. He loves it. But
no. I think we're going to see like moves like knight e5. And the crowd goes boo.
I think rook d1.
Rook d1.
I'm predicting.
Whoa, provoking g5.
Yeah, and there's still one square for now, at least to survive on short term.
Is your plan e4?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, pushing pawns. I love it.
Yeah.
But then do you want to go rook d1 or you want to castle on the queen side?
I'm not brave enough. Magnus is braver than me, but that is another level of brave. Like the white king has no protection over that side, right? As you pointed out.
Oh, big moment.
Big moment.
Look at him. He's totally locked in on this one.
Magnus is taking risks. Like the opening choice, the Jababa London, just the way he's set up here. It's unconventional. It's provocative, I've mentioned. Yeah, this is going to be fun. That's guaranteed.
I want to hear it from our chat. What do you guys think Magnus is going to play right now? Will he go for that h-pawn? Will he go for a more cautious approach with rook d1, but also with aggressive ideas eventually? Chat, what is your prediction here?
Yep, and well, we've asked Slack, we've asked our experts. Now let's ask the man himself.
Well, I tried to surprise him, and I figured, you know, since he's prepared for World Championship match, he'd kind of have a surprise everywhere. Maybe I should have known about this move, bishop g4. Like usually it's played after c takes d4, and e takes d4. And he thought for a few minutes, played bishop g4, and I just realized, well, I don't know anything. So I responded the way you like often do, especially in the first round, in the absolute kind of wussiest way possible, with bishop e2 and knight c takes e2. Now I just intend to set up a structure with c3, knight f3, maybe then h4, knight g3, and so on. But it's all like completely equal. Like I'm not remotely better, but I was going to say it's a game at least, but it's barely even that. It's just quite dull, to be honest.
Well, interesting choice of words from Magnus. The wussiest way possible as a reaction to bishop to g4. But he did mention, interestingly enough, this whole idea of going like g3, h4 much earlier on. So it's definitely on his radar. Yeah,
and I was going to be nice and say it's like the minimalistic type of approach where you just don't necessarily want to take big risks and you just get a position and play. But interesting choice of words, definitely, from Magnus. And yeah, h4 definitely on his radar. I think his last move, queen to e2, does hint that he might try and break in the center in the near future as well. But he thinks everything is equal.
Yeah.
And that was a few moments ago, right, that confessional. I wonder if he's changed his mind right now with the developments that we're seeing, because he said quite dull, to be honest. What was that about? What we've got going on right now with all the makings of perhaps an opposite side castling, of maybe the e4 break that you're talking about, or even, if all hell breaks loose and h4 on the board, it would be anything but dull.
Yeah, imagine you could push your h-pawn. If you move your knight out of the way later, push some more pawns towards the black king, that would be, yeah, we'd have to redefine the word dull in the dictionary. But yeah, I just can't see this fizzling out. There's so many pieces still on the board.
Yeah, and it's actually difficult to follow through h1. I know chat is pounding the table for h4. We all want that drama, right, on the board. But it is difficult, right? Where are you going to put the white king after you make such a committal move? I've been sat next to David for a long time. He's always exercised caution.
Commitment issues. Yeah, I expect a long think from Magnus. You know, I think the fact that he's already down 14 minutes is telling. But I could see that growing, the time differential. I actually thought heading into this game that Magnus would try and play on the clock because Gukesh has some time trouble issues in the World Championship, for example. But it's Magnus down on time here.
David, you keep mentioning that you've got commitment issues, and I've got a bone to pick on that. You know, you've got this one style that you stayed so committed to all your chess career. I think you're the last one to use that for yourselves.
I'm committed to one style, but my style is to not commit any pawns forward. Just don't make trades, just delay the tension on and on and on, and only when both sides are down at 5 seconds left, and then you go for it.
Yeah, I tell you one thing, Tanya. When David first kind of came onto the scene as a young junior, he was killing every one of the attacks. You know, he was like amazing gambits here, there, and I remember like. Sorry, David.
Go on.
The secrets.
Go on.
No, I just remember that. You know, the only time I drew against him was basically because it was in an endgame, but he was very young then. So.
I was 12.
But what happened then? Why did you switch?
I just woke up one day and forgot how to checkmate. Like something fell out of my brain. I was like, wait, how do I attack? And I don't know, the fear. I was scared of sacrificing suddenly. I haven't sacrificed anything in like 10 years.
Age.
But before that, like Ivanka's saying, I was just throwing pawns at my opponents. It's age. It's knowing too much is a curse, I tell you. No, it's. I think I just want to be more consistent. That's the reason.
But also, it's something to be said, right? Talking about your style of play, of finding something that you're exceptional at, and then just making that your claw. You know, the thing that you clobber your opponents with.
And I wonder if that's what separates the absolute best in the world from the rest, that, they don't just focus on perhaps that one big strength, but try to have a more universal, versatile play and constantly actually work and improve on those positions that they feel most uncomfortable playing.
100% agree. Like Magnus, he's got a reputation also as a grinder, and he loves his end games, and I think we share that kind of bond because we both appreciate that style. But Magnus has so many different gears. We've seen him attack people, we've seen him in freestyle chess lately, just go at people and take massive risks, change pawn structures, push H-pawns forward, and yeah, it's just him, Hikaru as well, attacker, but also a grinder, depending on the mood, depending on the position. Yeah, the top players have an extra level.
Interesting you mentioned Hikaru, because David read my mind, because guess who's back in the confessional? Oh, well, maybe I kind of spoiled the plot there. Oh, no.
So I said it might be a matter of hours or minutes. I have a feeling this will be the last time that I come back here, barring something crazy happening in the game. This whole position that I have right now, or this whole system, this exchange Slav, was what I had in the candidates about, what's it, like 14 months ago against Abasov in the third round. It's kind of funny that I have this against Fabiano, because I remember at the time, Fabiano did a podcast, hashtag not an ad, and he spoke about how he thought I wasn't very serious about the event because I lost a bit in round 2, and then round 3 I played the Slav against Abasov. The game ended in a very boring draw, and it didn't look like I would be in contention to win the tournament. So it's kind of funny that Fabiano made these remarks, and now he's playing this exact same variation from the white side. I mean, unless I forget something or confuse an order, I have absolutely no problem in this game. In fact, I think there's a very decent chance it'll be a fairly quick draw, but remains to be seen. Nonetheless, in the first round, it's always good to get a comfortable position with the black pieces from the get-go. So I'm pretty happy from that standpoint. On the other hand, I would say that I'm also already kind of bored out of my mind because unless something insane happens, the game is just not really interesting. But it is what it is. The Magnus game, however, is the interesting one because Magnus, it would seem, is maybe out-prepared or perhaps not familiar with the specific line because Gukesh played c5, bishop g4, and Magnus has already used a little bit of time. So maybe Magnus is trying to be a poker player and just overuse the time to confuse Gukesh.
I don't know anything.
That game should be really exciting, so it would appear that Gukesh doesn't prep out of the opening, and it should turn into a very sharp game. But that actually will have the most action in the opening. The Wei game versus Arjun looks very, very balanced as well. So the Magnus game is the one to watch, which probably isn't that surprising because it's the hype game that everyone wants to see. So I think for the fans out there, my game is boring, Arjun's game is boring, but Magnus's game will have action. So that's what you want to see, and that's going to be it for now until something happens in my game or one way or the other. But I won't be back anytime soon. All right, see you guys.
And huge shout out to the editors for that amazing edit.
That was amazing.
But
round of applause.
okay, I mean, I'm curious now, right? Hikaru's saying he's bored right out of his mind. Like, come on, we're actually, all of us like our positional games. Is this a fair assessment?
I think it's more fair than Magnus saying that his position's very dull. I think I can understand why Hikaru feels this way, the symmetrical pawn structure that we have. And there's a big chance that this eventually does, despite having a lot of pieces on the board, fizzle out into going into an Armageddon with what we have. But Fabi's managed to get that knight c5. And Yovi, this was an idea that you pointed out, I want to say yesterday, with the knight transferring to a4, so finding these dark square weaknesses on the queen's side. So slightly better pieces, the bishop on d3 will be unchallenged. Is there just a little something for Fabi to play for?
Yeah, visually, it does look slightly preferable for white. I agree. I would take white over black here, but I don't know, now that there's no bishop pair, now it's quite one-dimensional. It's kind of only playing with this knight on c5. If this ever gets kicked back, by the way, I mean, black has a clear plan. Black's going to play pawn to a5 in the next few moves, and then play b6, kick this knight away. And then the question is, what else do you have? Is there anything left to cling on to? The white queen looks nice, but she doesn't really connect with the rest of her army. And maybe the one plan I see is to double up rooks on the c-file for white. And the question is, if Hikaru has something concrete to deal with that, then it's just going to fizzle out. I can see him maybe moving his knight out of the way, kicking back the white knight, trading rooks. And yeah, if he doesn't have anything, Fabi, in the next 4 or 5 moves, then I agree with Hikaru.
A nice defensive try, because I want to say that white's only plan in this position, in my experience, is to double up. And I have lost to that plan many, many times, including to one of our good friends, who's actually here, Grandmaster Simon Williams.
Yeah, it's not his style, right? But he has great results, actually, in the exchange Slav. Oh, God, I hate this opening. I said it was boring as well, so I'm glad Hikaru's backing me up. But let's see, maybe it comes to life. Let's predict what happens next, then, just to fully break down the nuances of this game. Rook to c3 from Fabi?
I was thinking that you could, rook c3 I think makes a lot of sense with this idea that both of you are pointing out and setting up some tactics with knight takes pawn once, so you've got the double attack on the c line hitting on that knight on c6. You're actually targeting both these pawns, not just the a6 one, but knight takes b7 as well becomes a big threat right now. I like that, and I'm just wondering do you want to put your rook on c3, or do you want to include a3 and perhaps put it on c2? Is there a way to decide which is a better square here?
Good question. This is where I would burn 20 minutes on the clock and then decide that they're both the same. Yeah, I quite like rook c3 for now. Let's try and save a bit of time with one move. Unless I get hit by knight, although the bar slides, of course. my main worry is that knight to b4, consequences of not playing a3.
And then maybe b6 to follow as well once you fall back with your bishop.
The bishop drops back, then
Then b6 is done in
Tanya, you were right all along. I should have known.
But it's a kind of a slow build position, right? So you can take your time, not that much stuff is happening. So let's go a3, and then rook c2, rook c1. I can see this being very nice for white, and it's black who has to go into grovel mode. a5, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
This is a nice kind of move, a5, because it's not immediately apparent, right, that you're going to go a5 because you literally played a6. And now you're going a5. But yeah, I like it.
And it's mainly just to do with kicking back the enemy's best piece. Otherwise, the pawn would have been hanging. And also, I like the fact a5 after a3 just to stop white from pushing forward with b4.
Yeah, I was just about to add to that, you stop the expansion as well. And then if white continues with his plan, maybe you're just not in time because your knight does get pushed back and then trades along the c line. All right, so do we sort of agree with Hikaru's assessment in the confessional here that it feels balanced, he feels pretty relaxed about his position, starting with the black pieces against Fabiano Caruana, the outcome of the opening?
Well, you know what? I'm going to say yes, but I'm going to condition that sentence with the fact that he has to be accurate here. Because I feel like if he doesn't go a5 and this whole idea of kicking the knight back, then white can get a really lovely position with going rook c3, rook c1. And if you can't dislodge that knight from c5, you're in big trouble.
You're going to suffer. The problem is it's Hikaru, and he's so good defensively, he's so good positionally, like he's just so good, full stop. And he's also, what, 37 minutes up on the clock, Hikaru? He's going to play a5, then he's going to play b6, he's going to move his knight away, there's going to be trades on the c-file.
And we're going to get an Armageddon.
Bring it on.
Bring it on. I'm going to say, I really want to see these two guys as the candidates. I really hope that they find their path into fighting for the world
You'll
championship.
see Fabi there. He's guaranteed. He's in.
He's in already. Hikaru still has to fight for that spot. And again, it comes down to his motivation, depending so much on how Norway chess goes.
Yeah, exactly. Like Fabi can relax and, well, he can enjoy this tournament, with absolutely zero pressure. But, of course, he wants to win. Every chess player wants to win. And there, as we see the players locked in action, again, I'm going to come back to this again and again and again.
Do it.
I'm going to put you guys on the spot. We have a player who's given us not one, but two confessionals. And it's not the usual suspects.
So it's not Magnus and it's not Hikaru.
Yeah.
Can you tell us if it's from the women or the open, or is that too much? All right, I'll take a guess here.
Yeah.
It is Fabi.
No.
Oh, I never get these right.
Fabi's been thinking the whole time.
Maybe we recorded earlier.
And just to tease everyone even some more, you can hear it during the break. And remember that if you do want to hear the confessionals, you do have to subscribe to chess.com on Twitch. So
You didn't give your pick.
Please.
You always
I
get
wish
this.
it was Gukesh, but I don't think it is.
not.
But
you got the right country. There you go.
Arjun?
Arjun.
Bring it on.
Yeah. I can't wait to hear what he's thinking because, he's got a fiery style. Let's have a look at his game, actually.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. And let's try to get into Arjun's mind. And then during the break, all will be revealed.
I just want to say one thing about Arjun, right? You were talking about his fiery style, and every time he plays, we can expect just absolute chaos and fireworks on the board. You get those tactics, you get that entertainment. But off the board, Arjun's one of the sweetest guys. He's so soft-spoken. It's actually incredibly surprising, the contrast in his off-board personality and his on-board persona.
Hang on a second. Are you saying that Gukesh and Prague and all the other are not as soft-spoken and polite?
They are, but look at their chess as well. I mean, it sort of seems, more controlled. Arjun's the king of chaos.
Yeah.
Looks are deceptive, definitely. I used to think you could just understand someone's chess style by looking at them, spending time with them for 5 seconds. Like, that was enough, but there are anomalies. Archer's
I
definitely
got
one
one
of
for
them.
you. Can you determine a chess player style by their handshake?
Oof.
Oh, no, I shouldn't name names. I've shaken players' hands, and it's not the firmest. It's like they barely want to shake your hand.
Yeah.
It's like they barely stick out one finger to. But then they turn out to be super aggressive, super alpha games on the board.
I think we need to make a handshake into a high five for chess before the start. Well, what would you think about that?
I 10.
I agree with you. Or like a namaste or something. Yeah, you don't need to shake hands with someone.
There was
I
an
agree.
namaste thing during COVID, right? When just right after, when we had these OTB tournaments just opening up, there was a sort of a no handshake rule for a while.
Yeah, Magnus was doing that for ages, the namaste, bowing to his opponents. I don't know if I should say this. This is the most random thing in the world, but Arjun Erigaisi has the exact same hands as Gawain Jones, the English Grandmaster.
What? What does that even mean, David
I
Howell?
don't know.
I don't know. Elaborate
It's the
on this
hands.
one,
It's the
please.
way they hold their hands. They're both left-handed. They're both I don't know. Just I don't know. I have this thing. I remember faces really well, and I don't know. I remember hands really well. That's just I don't know how chess pattern recognition affects life or translates to life skills, but that's the one thing. And I don't know why we're zooming in on his hands right
We're
now.
trying to do that.
He's got the exact same body language. The way he holds his hands, crosses his arms. It's Gawain Jones.
Oh my God, and they have the same kind of style.
Have the same kind of playing
Yeah.
style. Yeah, it's been in my mind for ages. I'm glad I don't know why it came out here and now, but we were on the topic.
I never saw it until you mentioned it, but now that you do,
You will not unsee it, I
you can't
promise you.
unsee it.
And okay, let's jump into the chess.
Yes.
Let's jump into the position. And yeah, talking of craziness, he started. It looked like the quietest position ever, but he started creating threats. Arjun Erigaisi, and the tactics are in the pawn to e5 from Wei Yi, unleashing a bit of tension between the queens now, and ignoring the threat on the white knight. Suddenly, the white knight might get taken, the black knight might get taken, the white bishop, the black bishop. Okay, let's maybe just retrace our steps.
Yeah, let's find out how we got here. Because first up, I want to ask, how did the black pawn structure become so neat? Because yeah, I mean, it was like that. People were like, yeah, it's going to be e takes d5, and it didn't even happen.
Yeah, I think the safe approach, and the way I used to play it, still play it online, is to take with the pawn just while there is a pin, and black recaptures with the knight. You move your knight out the way.